Hello everyone, welcome back to another SUPboarder video. In this video we're going to be reviewing the brand new S27 Matador LT from Naish. We've reviewed every single Matador since the original S26 windowed version in 2021. This is the new lightweight performing wing that's going to get you up on your foil in as light a wind as possible and into riding and catching bumps. So this is a wing designed for all ability of riders and all weight of riders, but really somebody who's looking to ride their wing in more open oceans and in wave environments. This wing has definitely had some improvements since last year's S26, which obviously we're going to speak about in this video. We're also going to give you our thoughts about this new wing and making sure you understand if this wing is right for you. So a quick rundown about Naish and the Matador wings. Okay, Naish have been making wings since the very beginning. They were the first wings we ever got on. They do really know how to make wings, and they do really know how to make boards and foils as well. The whole wing discipline is really becoming a major part of Naish. They do make SUPs, make very good SUPs, they make very good windsurfing equipment as well, so they do a lot of water sports gear, but the wings and the foils and the boards around that are very, very good. A lot of you around the world have got Naish, very well known and obviously well respected. The Matador range started back in 2021. We reviewed the Matador Original. That was one that had a window. That was quite a powerful wing, only came in a few sizes. And then they brought the Matador LT out, which was last year's version of this. That was the S26 version, and that had no window, just like this one. And now you have the Matador LT S27, which is this one. You'll find the sizes are still the same. You can still get a 3 meter, a 4 meter, a 5 meter, and a 6 meter. The retail prices for this one, for example, which is the 5 meter, retails at £899 or 969 US dollars. We weighed this one with the leash and it came in at 2.79 kilograms. And this one you can get in a red, blue, a grey, and this version which we've got is the yellow. An easy way to tell the S26 and the S27 Matador LT apart is the S26, which is last year's version, had black lines down the main panel joins, and this one's got the iconic Naish sort of Hawaiian styling that they have on a lot of their gear on the wingtips. So now let's talk about the differences between the S26 Matador LT, last year's version, compared to the S27 Matador LT. The outline shape of the wing is exactly the same. They haven't changed anything there. The tension of the wing is one of the things that they have changed. So last year's wing was a little bit more floppy in here. So when the wind applied itself to the wing, it was a little bit more dramatic as it hit the wing. This one, the power comes to the wing a little bit more gradual. Now when we were riding this on the water, I wouldn't have said it felt any less powerful, but definitely it felt more controllable between the front and back hand, especially in the gustier conditions. My front arms, for example, weren't so loaded up in the gusty conditions. The original S26 Matador, one with a window, that was a very powerful wing, had a load of profile up here on the front edge. You'll also find when the wind gets up and you're near the top of your wind window, the max you can hold onto your wing, having a little bit less profile or a little bit of a tighter canopy does give you a little bit more control when it gets really windy as well. Now turning this wing around, this is where you can see where most of the work has gone on, I think, in the new Naish Matador, mainly around the handles. The handles have been way more reinforced from the original Matadors. So you have 3 big chunky handles now. They're very, very standoff. They're really rigid, so you can't really squash them. They're still soft, so they're comfortable to use. They've got like a rubber inlay in here, which gives you a good amount of grip right through the handle. They're a square sort of shape, very big and easy to use. These are very, very comfortable, and it's nice because you can trim your hands right up to the top. Really gives you loads of great positions to hold on to your wing with. With wings in general, a lot of you are either going for booms or non-booms. There's obviously loads of advantages to not having a boom. The main thing is you haven't got a heavier wing. If you end up doing loads of freestyle, loads of tricks and hitting them, smashing into them, you haven't got to worry about hurting yourself. So these are very rigid and well stand-off handles. But Naish have done a lot more reinforcing around the actual fixing points of the handles on this new Matador. So the previous Matadors, the handles came in and your webbing strap went around like this. And now your handle comes in, there's a sort of an extra stitch work underneath, inside of the main rib material, and then you've got webbing going over the top as well. So it's been really reinforced. People are jumping higher, people are doing more freestyle. We said this on the last wing and the wing before that. Every wing is getting more and more beefed up, but you've still got to keep the weight down, haven't you? So Naish have obviously been working a lot more on the shape of the handle, the rigidity of the handle, the comfort of the handle, but also the strength of where the handle is fixed onto the main rib, and also the actual stitching and the main shape of the main flagging handle up here. So this wing is designed to be parked or flagged, which is basically where you're holding the front of the handle on the front main tube and you're riding your waves, you're riding your swells, you're downwinding, maybe you're just surfing into the beach. This wing has a very balanced, light feeling, just like the previous Matador did, to be honest. I wouldn't say between the two of them, this one is much better at flagging. That one was still a great wing for surf riding. This one is still a great wing for surf riding. You've got your neoprene rubbing strip here, just so your knuckles don't get rubbed if you're doing massive sessions. But it's nice to see that the front handle is again a little bit chunkier, made of the same material as the main three handles. Other stuff which is very much the same as last year's wing, you've still got your single sure stop inflation port, which you can use your standard ice up pump if you have one, or you can obviously get your Naish pump. Your Naish pump isn't supplied as standard, so you are going to have to buy that as extra. But as I said, any inflatable paddleboard pump will fit on this attachment, which is a simple thing, but it's a really great thing, and not many brands have got a standard ice up pump attachment. So it's always been a thumbs up from us with all of the Naish stuff. So it's a one port inflation, which means you pump this up and it pumps the main rib up and the front edge. The air comes into the main rib through the extra tube in the side. The downside to that in the previous years that we've always brought out is when it comes to deflating the wing, it would take ages to get the air out of the rib. Well, now they've actually supplied it with a dump valve, so you can pop that out, and as you roll the wing up, the air can come out of the main rib really quickly. Great move, makes it really quick and easy, because obviously when you've done your session, well, if you're like me, you do the max of your session right up to you should be leaving, and then you leave rather quickly. So it's all a bit of a mad panic to get everything packed down to go home. So it does mean you get more water time, which is obviously the most important bit. The main materials on the wing have still got your high tensile threads everywhere. You've still got the same really good ripstop fabric, and you've still got the same amount of segments and seams in the main front tube. You still get the same coiled leash that you got with last year's wing, and you have the ability to ride this with a harness as well. Half of you are riding with harnesses, half of you aren't. I think probably if you're going to be riding with this wing, you're probably not going to be using a harness so much, because you are going to be looking for a wave riding wing. To give you a bit more information about what this wing feels like on the water for us. Now, last year's Matador LT was a very light, very responsive wing that was fairly easy to use and went upwind very well and was very good at parking and surfing and riding waves. This wing is exactly the same as that. It does all of those things. The riding in overpower conditions, a little bit better because it is a little bit more balanced between the front and back hand. Going upwind, it still charges upwind. It's still very easy to keep you up on the foil in light winds. The biggest thing for us with this wing is really the weight to power ratio. So you're getting a lot of power for the amount of weight the wing obviously has. And that's exactly what you want if you're surf and riding bumps. You want to get up in the lightest wind as possible, so you need as much power as possible, but you want a wing that's super light when you're riding it, and also obviously when you're flagging and park the wing and you're surfing those waves. Now I have to say, Robbie Naish has done a really good video about this new wing. There's loads of really good information in there. Also, the riding that they are doing with the team is pretty phenomenal with these wings. Definitely, you're going to be busting some big jumps with these wings. Definitely having the rigid handles, it does help with your freestyle, it does help with your jumping. You are going to have a more direct feel. Again, it's a little bit like a boom, but you haven't got to worry about the potential damage to your wing or the damage to yourself of riding a boomed wing. If I can bring up some negatives or maybe things to be aware of, there isn't, to be honest, very many with the Naish Matador LT. There wasn't that many last year. You might remember what I said last year, one of my personal negatives, it's not a negative for everybody, I have been told that, is the coiled leash. I'm still not a massive fan of coiled leashes. I find that they get stretched in the surf, and when they get stretched you have to recoil them or they get tied in a knot. They're a bit of a pain personally for me. So there is a coiled leash which I will be soon upgrading. The other potential, no, it's not a negative, the other is an observation, and even Naish say it on their website. Obviously this is a no windowed wing, so you can't see through this wing. And if you're going for a 6 meter in size, it's a fairly big wing. So if you are newer to the sport, we're going to speak about who's it best for in a minute, but if you're newer to the sport, you're not going to see as much, well, you're not going to see anything through this wing. So there's no windows. A very obvious thing to say, but I think looking at who's it best for, there's going to be a lot of potential beginners getting on with this wing as well. Yes, this is a more performance-based wing, but I think because it's nice and balanced and it's nice and light, you are going to be able to get up and first time wing with this wing. Now, Naish have still got the original wing surfer, or sorry, not the original wing surfer, now on the Mark IV, which is easier to use. It's got windows, it's a little bit heavier because of that. But some of you, in fact quite a lot of you, are trying to sort of jump as many hoops as possible, whether regarding foils, boards and wings, to get yourself on better kit to start with. Now I think with foils and boards you need to learn on the right stuff. You can't go straight onto a high ratio foil because you are going to struggle. You are going to struggle or you're going to stunt your progression. With wings you can get away with it a bit more, and with a wing like this you could definitely enter the sport at a lower level. Definitely, just like the last year's S26 Matador LT, the new one, the S27, does a little bit better job. Nice and light, nice and responsive, a little bit more control, handles gusts a little bit better. Great improvements to the handles itself and the actual fixings of the handles, of how they're attached. You still get the high pressure of 7 to 9 psi into this, extra valve to get rid of the air at the end of the day, to pack it down nice and quick. So I do think it's a very good wing to buy into. But also I will say, looking around, there's some good deals on the S26 Matador LT out there at the moment as well. So if you can't afford to go for the new and improved, better Matador LT, and maybe you're a beginner, a lighter rider, or you're not looking to really push the limits in the waves or big jumps, that original Matador LT S26 could be a really good buy as well. I hope you found this review interesting and informative. No doubt there'll be questions, so get them in the comment sections below. Have you got one of these already? Let us know your feedback, and also as you get them throughout the year and as this video gets older, let us know your feedback of how you found the wing yourself. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the comparison I did a few weeks ago of the new Naish boards. So we're looking at the Hover Carbon Ultra and the Hover Compact LE, the much shorter, wider, thicker board. I was reviewing those two as well as this all at the same time. So if you're interested in Naish stuff and also seeing where they're going with their boards, definitely check out that video as well. But until next time, happy winging, happy supping, and we'll see you on the next SUPboarder video real soon.